Hey guys, Morgan the Rebellious Reviewer. We talk about music, books, and movies. And today we're doing part 17 in my Album of the Day series. So, as you know if you've seen the previous parts, this is a series where me and 6 of my dragon imaginary friends do the Pokemon genre challenge from Rate Your Music. Basically, we just generate a random Pokemon and a random number and pick an album based on those two things. Link to the genre table with all the Pokemon types and genres linked in the description. And anyway, today's Pokemon is Leafeon, today's genre is neofolk, and today's album is A New Soldier Follows the Path of a New King by The Moon Lay Hidden Beneath a Cloud. God, that was a mouthful. Before I throw it over to my imaginary friends, though, let me briefly give my thoughts on this album. This was a weird one. It sounds like an evil witch singing over a weird mix of neofolk, martial industrial, and neoclassical dark wave. Not what I expected from it, but it does have a cool dark atmosphere that I liked, and the witch vocals are pretty interesting. That said, some of these songs definitely felt like filler. I don't know why, considering this album is over an hour, but some of these tracks definitely could have been cut. At its best, this thing is incredible, and I would argue it's a good album. I just wish they'd trimmed some of the fat. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get started with the voice acting, shall we? Hello, all you fine people. I'm Skyler Wing, and this is Blaze Flarington, Houdini Presto, Bolt Thunderstone, Forrest Woods, and Draven Onyx. Today we're doing the next part in the Album of the Day series. It's my turn to pick, and the genre for today is neofolk. So, neofolk is a genre I'm not overly familiar with outside of Current 93, but I like what I've heard. I was actually excited to get this genre, partially for that reason and partially because it's a good genre for October. When I saw the album cover for today's album, A New Soldier Follows the Path of a New King by The Moon Lay Hidden Beneath a Cloud, I knew I had to pick it, because it screams October. Anyway, this album is rather strange. It mixed neofolk with a genre called martial industrial, which basically means it has elements of European military marches. It also had a few neoclassical dark wave tracks. In other words, it was quite an eclectic and interesting album, and I mostly enjoyed it. However, a few of the songs could get repetitive, and while I normally don't mind interludes, I really don't see the point of them on this album. I don't mind that albums that are over an hour long, but this one does not carry its length well. Still, it has enough good qualities for me to give it an 8 out of 10. Wow, you actually liked this? Well, I hate to sink your chances of beating Draven, but this album was boring. Sure, it had a few decent moments, especially in the vocals, and the atmosphere is pretty unique. However, classical meets folk meets military marches is a surefire recipe for boredom in my eyes. Sure enough, the instrumentation has nothing going for it. If it wasn't for the vocals, this would be the biggest nothing of an album ever. As it is, it's still not good enough to rise above average, but I will at least give it a strong 5 out of 10, almost a 6. I kind of agree. The vocals on this album are incredible, and the atmosphere is interesting. Everything else is hit or miss. The instrumentation has cool moments, but it also has a lot of boring moments. It also drags on too long, and I can't help but feel like some of these songs should have been cut. I'm not quite as harsh as Bold, but I still probably won't return to this outside of a few songs. 6 out of 10. Well, there goes my hope of beating Draven. You two just killed my chance. Sorry, but I had to be honest. I'm with you guys. As much as I hate to say it. The atmosphere is interesting, but I honestly found the Diamanda Gallus-like vocals over this type of instrumentation a bit annoying. The songs are repetitive and the instrumentation definitely feels like a military march, by which I mean it's boring. I get what it's trying to do, but I don't think it sounds good at all. I don't hate it, mostly because the atmosphere is interesting and it is a unique sound. However, I'm never listening to it again after this. 5 out of 10. Don't worry, Skyler. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was great. There was definitely some fat that could have been trimmed. But at its best, this album is incredible. The vocals are intense and interesting. The atmosphere is incredible. And I actually think the martial industrial elements sound pretty good. Again, if they can't just cut some of these tracks off, this album could have been great. As it is, 7 out of 10. I'm gonna have to end this video somewhat negatively because I'm with Houdini and Bolt, only for opposite reasons. To me, this album was great musically, but those over-the-top vocals made me want to stab my eardrums out. Also, the spoken word bits get really irritating. If this album was instrumental, it would be great, but as it is, it balances out to a perfect meh. 5 out of 10. Sorry, Skyler, but this wasn't a success. Anyway, time to add up our scores. Yes, it is! This album gets a combined score of 36 out of 60. Decent, but not good. It's tied with that Oboyo Cantado we listened to for the Rate Your Music genre challenge, and lower than Draven, Blaze, Houdini, and Forrest's picks. That means Draven is still in the lead. Bolt, please beat Draven tomorrow before his ego gets so big that he goes full narcissist. That will never happen. Neither Bolt beating me nor me going full narcissist. I hope you're wrong on the first one and right on the second one. Anyway, tomorrow is my turn to pick. As usual for October, I'll try for a Halloween album, but depending on the genre, I may not be able to get one. Anyway, let's throw it back to Morgan. And that's my video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'm Morgan the Rebellious Reviewer, and I'm out.